some Q&A to do. I hope you're doing fine, 'cause it's Q&A time again. Hello world, how's it going? Hope you guys are all doing great. If not, as always, I hope it gets better for you. So, welcome to another Friday Night Live Q&A, where you can ask the aquarium community and I questions on keeping freshwater fish, shrimp, and or plants. That's what we do here on Friday nights, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. I know you guys are all over the place. Whoa, whoa. That's the time it is for me. But hello, all you awesome people in the chat. I see you. And I thank you for being here. And yes, I am glad to be here. So Candy Overhauls already with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Candy. You're absolutely amazing. I love you, Candy. Appreciate all your awesome help. And to always remind me to get into the live chat, which I think other people should thank you for as well, because now I can see everybody's comments, at least the best I can. Like, I do my best to scroll through it off. But obviously, I can't read it all sometimes. Not too bad at the start. Hello, lots of hellos. Scrolling. I'm pretty excited myself. Got the prototype done to my new water change system done, which is going to help me a ton. Like, it works so well on the rack that I put it on, I ended up doing like back-to-back water changes. Now I should have put my hoses a little deeper, but I did get 25% water changes done in like no time, considering what it would normally take me. Now it won't be for my deep clean water changes, so I'll have water change systems where I'll do like more of a deep clean every so often, but this will be like a quick kind of pull system, which will help save me time for more other fish room activities and YouTube activities, which I'm super excited about. Because I know my project list is just ridiculous right now. Hello, how's the spring life going? Asked Steven Truth Seeker. Oh, spring life couldn't be better. So happy about spring life. Kim Cunningham says, Lucas, how are the rope fish? The rope fish are doing swimmingly. They're still upstairs in the 125. I was thinking about adding them into this rainbow fish tank. I think that would be cool to see them in there. Now, I already have a top on there. I'll just have to make sure it's like way tight enough that the rope fish can't get through if I do put them in there. And I hear that they are kind of like derpy eaters, so I don't know. I think enough food gets in there, and I've got worms in the substrate, so, and there's shrimp in there, I believe, still, because I got this log that sits in here and all kinds of stuff lives in it. Oh no, Fishy and Taintix, that bites. Says my rope fish choked on a rock today. Eek. Yeah, that's rough. That's something to think about too, is when you got fish and if they like to like nibble at the bottom, definitely think about your rock sizes. That could be problematic. But sorry to hear that. That's a rough shot. Rough go. But thanks for asking, Kim. Because I wanna redo the upstairs tank and the tank that they're actually in right now. BC says, LRB Aquatics, hey Lucas, I'm wanting to move Bolivian ram to a 55. Currently chases my angelfish off at feeding time. You think he would bother my Corydoras in the new tank? Probably not, especially if you get some rock piles for the Corydoras. I think he goes more for the angel, because the angel is a cichlid as well. So angels can, they won't put up with crap either. So both types of fish, like a Bolivian ram won't put up with crap, an angelfish won't put up with crap. So they kind of like butt heads. But Cory Cat, he's just going to swim off. If he's got somewhere to swim off and that Bolivian ram tries to give him a hard time, he'll just swim back. And then the ram will just probably just leave him alone, because it's not really worth his time to mess with. Anna Walker says, have you ever seen shrimp body or tail turn white from calcium supplements? Or is it always from bacteria necrosis? I've only seen it from bacteria necrosis myself. I've never really seen it from calcium supplements since I don't actually use any calcium supplements. Our water is so hard to get enough from our natural tap water here. But, yeah, I couldn't tell you about the calcium supplements because I really don't use them. So I don't have much experience with that. But maybe somebody in the chat does. D-Clip says, how would you get rid of hair algae in shrimp tanks? So the best thing to do is manual removal. If you got a big clump of hair algae, like say there's a big clump right there, you just move it out. But just make sure you shake it, bring it up slowly. Kind of make sure the babies are able to disband out of the hair algae as well as the adults before you pull them out. If you just go yanking it out real fast, the suction of it can actually cling the shrimp to the algae. Then they get stuck and suffocated and stuff. So just take your time, let them jump out of the hair algae, and then manual removal, water change right after you do the manual removal, 50%, and then repeat it the next week. And then you can end up beating and getting rid of all that hair algae pretty easy by just doing your regular maintenance. Now, there are some problematic spots, say if you got wood or rock within an aquarium where a mass of hair algae won't grow on it, but you'll still get like that little bit of tuff or that little bit of greenness or something that'll want to grow on it. Some people like that for the look, gives it that more natural look, but if you did want to get rid of it, you could always get a toothbrush and kind of scrub it off with that whenever you do your water changes. And yeah, just always make sure to do it before you do your water changes. Refugee Bandit, how do you go about breeding danios? I actually got these like little 2-liter containers, and if you put a little ramp up there, they'll actually breed all over it and drop eggs down in between the mesh. Just something about going up to like a shoreline or something really kind of triggers them to breed. That's how they breed them out in these huge facilities that they do like tests and whatnot for cancer treatments and all sorts of science. Stella Cuteness, or yeah, Stella's Cuteness. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Stella's Cuteness. Appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Speed reading. Efren422 says, when are you having rainbow fish available? The website looks like LRB Some Aquatics. Yeah, it's definitely Some Aquatics, considering it's all homebred stuff. I've got hundreds of tanks, but it's still impossible for me to keep up with everybody. Things do go in and off the website. As far as rainbow fish, I have a few set back. I'm still working on systems now. I used to have a helper, so they ended up working for someone else, blah, blah, blah. And now I have to do all the maintenance myself. So now I worked on this new water change system, which is exciting, blah, blah, blah. And hopefully I can get everything organized to where I could get more rainbow fish pumped out for y'all. But eventually I will get some. I'm hoping to get some killifish here soon too in May, a bunch of them. There's a killifish carnival coming up. So I will have some of those for those who have been waiting for killifish. I've just got so much organizing to do in this fish room right now. And it's been my number one. Then that and having to work with the pond out back. Bladderwort, good or bad, eats baby shrimp. Bladderwort. Isn't that like Subwassertang? Or are you thinking of something else? Oh no, Bladderwort, is that the stringy stuff? I heard that it kills baby shrimp, but I don't know if I believe that. I've seen it in a shrimp tank before. A long time ago I had it in a shrimp tank. One of my cold tanks. I never really seen anything. Or any plant actually eat a shrimp. Have you ever used an Overflow box sump system? Yes, I have, Kevin. I had a 180-gallon bow front upstairs, mind you, with a sump system. I absolutely loved it. It was great. Just when it comes to breeding and shrimp and certain things, a sump system is a little tougher because of keeping stuff from going down into the sump system. Even though sometimes I would get babies down there from the fish tank above, the community tank. But, yeah. If you ask me, a sump, in my opinion, is nothing but another tank. Now, if I use a sump, I just set it up like another aquarium. Kind of like my fry rack is over here. This is what I consider a sump. So I do have a sump system right now. And I'm actually working on a few of these. Boop. There's my sump. There's my system. Oh, hey, Corey Cat. Dang, these guys are hungry. Hungry. Look at those fins, though. My God. It's panda guppies. I need to get some more of these on the side at some point. Those are nice. I can't believe this hornwort, how well it grows with just like a little bit of light. My light went out here, but man, it's crazy how well that hornwort will grow. What's in the sump these days? There's actually a pair of Get 'em in Village in there. Bam Fish Keeping. Glad to see you around. As always. Speaking of rainbows, so I am breeding these guys, or we're working on them. Look at him. He's all fired up. He's like a blue, orange, and reddish kind of color. If my glass wasn't so dirty. He's hungry, though. And then there's the female. I need to move him. Definitely need to feed those, though. I've been trying to feed them twice a day. That's why they're so hangry looking right now. It's because they're used to eating by now, but I've been way too busy today. Hadn't got much sleep. But I'm grinding. I'm getting things done. I'm happy about it. Spring's got me moving. Thawed out from my hibernation. If not using dechlorinator, how long would you gas a 32-gallon brute bucket full of water before a water change? They say 24 hours for degassing. But if you really want to get away from having to use dechlorinator, just put a carbon filter on your house line. It's not really hard. You just snip a little, turn your house line off, get a bucket, let that excess water, well, drain out your faucets first, the lowest faucet. That way you can get most out of the line, and then get a bucket, and then get whatever water's left, and then attach that little carbon block to that line. Bada bing, bada boom. You won't have to worry about dechlor. Let's see, scrolling in. Sorry if I missed your question. I'm doing my best to read it all here. Bravehearts 1986 says, hello, is it okay to generally feed fish once every other day? I prefer to feed once a day myself. You can get away with once every other day, especially if they have like a pretty natural environment. But I would prefer myself to feed them every day because I know they're hungry. I mean, I wouldn't want to eat every other day. You think in the wild, they're probably eating every single day. There's something that they're finding to snack and nibble on. Whether it be seeds that fall in, or worms that come off the bank or get washed in, or bugs that fly up on top of the surface, or little crustaceans that may be in the water. Michael Wells says, do you sell rice fish? I do have some rice fish. I've got some Indian rice fish, the daisies, that I need to actually put on the website here soon. Got a bunch of them. Pedro Perez says, hello, would you try to breed autocinkless? So I actually have tried many a time. I actually dedicated a 125-gallon green water tank to him one time. And I still could not get him to breed. Driftwood, everything. Rock, could not get them to breed. But I have had some people in this chat that have bred autocinkless themselves. Usually happy little accidents. But I myself have not had luck with them. I think I need to try them again though. Because now, I don't know, I think I got a better perspective and philosophy on how you could probably do it with just a more natural filterless aquarium with good bioactivity so they can eat and so their babies can eat. Probably definitely lots of rock piles would help. Finding the right plants, I think, is part of it too, to where they could get up underneath something that they're familiar in the wild to breed under. So really look at their biotope if you're trying to do any replication. Because sometimes having the right just leaf material or sticks or just debris that they're used to from the wild can make a huge difference on getting that tricky fish to breed. For instance, the Congo tetras, I don't know what it is. You get them some Rotalia, any or something like real fine leafy stem plants, they'll breed all over it real quick. Oh yeah, Oddball Aquatics says, Bladderwort, bad. You bought some at a swap one day. When finally researched it, you threw it away. Yeah, I think that's right. But isn't Subwater Tang called Bladderwort too? Or am I thinking something different? I don't know how I went backwards there. You want me to come clean that tank tomorrow? Yes, please. Please, please, please. Oddball Aquatics. You already said it, please. Don't make me beg. How do you treat Malawi bloat? I heard people use like peas and stuff to help with bloat. I personally haven't dealt with it myself, so hopefully somebody in the chat can help you with it. But yeah, it's the best I got for you. How many guppies in a 10-gallon tank? Really depends on how often you're doing your water changes, how mature is your ecosystem. Usually they'll figure out their biomass themselves by either eating each other or something. But you can fit quite a bit in the 10-gallon. Especially if they got coverage. Patrick Hardy says, your N31 endlers are nice. Are they wild type or cross mixed with other? Are those the blue Kumbambas? I think those are, I don't really know. I got those from a friend in a swap. And everybody's been wanting them. They're pretty rare. I don't know a whole lot about them if they're like a wild type or a cross mix. Really am not sure. And I actually just added some of those to the website too. I know some of you guys have been waiting for those. And I did add a couple pairs in there and I will be getting in their colony again. I actually have a ton of other endlers and guppies for you guys. I've just got to get to the web work and to the pictures and to the organization of it all. So hopefully here soon, definitely whenever it warms up, we'll start hitting the ground on a lot of that kind of stuff as well. Just because it's a lot easier for me to start selling and shipping that stuff in the better weather if I'm going to start it up. Triton Riverstone says, recently had a few female Neocara shrimpers that were full of eggs, but now no eggs. How long before I can see the shrimplets with the naked eye? Well, it really depends on your tank and your situation. So if you do have a lot of coverage, rock piles, driftwood, whatnot, more than likely the shrimplets aren't going to come out for a while. And you won't see them just because they'll stay hidden until they actually become more juvenile size, and then they'll start coming out more. And it depends on how you feed too. It doesn't take them very long to grow. I would say at least within like a few weeks you could see them. It's about 3 weeks. Hey, you gonna AKA this year? Where is AKA? I don't know where it's at this year. If I can find out the information, and if it probably isn't that far, then definitely yes. NZ says, any real and useful slow sinking micro pellet food you would recommend? Well, I like Tetracolor Tropical Granules. I know it's not the smallest, I know it's not micro, but you can crunch it up to where you can customize it to the sizes you want. So that's what I do with all my aquariums, is I just kind of, with my smaller fish, I just crunch it up a little bit. And just something about that color, with that red color, fishes are really attracted to. Oddball Aquatics, she's in the chat right now. She actually did a test where she put all the colors on a stick and was testing all these fish to see the reaction of the colors. And for some reason, all the fish were reacting to the red. Whether the red was on the bottom of the stick or the top of the stick, didn't matter. They would go towards the red of the color. So I think that's why I like the Tetracolor Granules so much, which that's what those are. And they will sink. See, it's a little granule. You just crunch it up into your fingers, and then now you got a micro size granule. Now I've tried the other, like, what was those? Spectrum had a nice one that weren't too bad. The only thing I don't like about those, like, brown colors and the darker food, is it will blend into the substrate, so you can feed it and you may not see it, whether they're eating it all, and also they may not see it as well and be able to find it. That's why I love that stuff. And it actually helps enhance their colors. Natural Aquarium says, make sure you're not trying to off-gas chloramine. Trick only works with chlorine. Some districts use different chemicals for disinfecting the water. Well, thank you, Natural Aquariums, for mentioning that. And yes, very good to know. It only works for chlorine. I didn't know it didn't work for chloramine. Karma says, do you keep scuds in any of your fish tanks? Are they worth adding to a natural, or worth adding to a tank for a natural food source? Yes, definitely worth adding to a tank for a natural food source, especially like a community type, if it's not like a shrimp tank only. Because they'll actually take care of your plants. As far as algae, you won't have any algae problems with scuds in your aquariums. Scuds absolutely love to eat algae. And they can bury up into the gravel and cracks and crevices, so they're smart enough to get away from fish and still be able to keep a little colony of themselves within the aquarium. I personally don't have any anymore, but I would like to get some more here sometime soon. Would like to have a tank just of them, because like I said, they are great for cleaning plants and just feeding fish. So maybe if I was doing more, I'm actually working more on a live food kind of rack system thing, because I would like to start feeding more live foods. I'm still on the fence though if I want to add scuds. The only problem with me, if I add scuds and they get into other aquariums where I sell plants or something like that, it kind of voids that tank from me selling any plants if I were to get any scuds. Do you go to the reef still? I do. I like to go to the reef whenever I get the chance. Actually, great store. Absolutely lovely there. I've got some footage. I need to do a video of their store, actually. That's been on my to-do list for a long time now. Chris Pinto throwing out the potatoes. Thank you, Rotato, for the potatoes. Throwing down the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you, thank you. And always great to see you. What is the fastest growing stem plant? Probably Guppy Grass. Science Gals Fishing. I have a homegrown endler that just recently started showing a orange color on his belly. Do antlers show male coloration later like this, or could this just be a colorful female antler? So with some antlers, like they'll look like silver males for the longest time. The stake antlers are ones that do this. Like it's like, oh, is this thing ever gonna get any color? It just looks so bland, and then later on, not till like a lot later on, it's like, bam, wow, okay, the colors are there. Nice to see. So I have seen that in some lines. The blue Camboba, or however you say it, the NR31s, they're the same way as well. So that definitely can happen. AZN Gorilla 1 says, have you ever known a monos to prey on neos? I have 3 neo tanks, and the tank without a monos is doing the best. My Blue Dream tank had a bunch of fry, but none of them seem to have made it to even juvenile. So yes, a monos can prey on Neocaridina. We did talk about this in the last Friday night live stream too, but definitely I'm glad you're coming with your experience, because that just kind of solidifies a bit of what we were talking about last Friday night, to where the monos can prey on neos. They got really sharp claws and just chop them right up. And once again, sorry if I'm missing your guys' questions. So I am to get to the questions of the people who are still in here. And Jason Von Arks, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that, Jason. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I'm gonna scroll all the way down. Yeah, I'm way off. All right. So I'm at the bottom. If you got that question, here I am. Fancy Tail Aquatics says, still looking for great high-end guppies. Anyone have them? I've got some. There's a few people that may have some in here. There's all kinds of sorts of guppies out there. That's what I love about guppies, though. There's like a million flavors of them. And they're all tasty. Kyle's Aquarimetrics. That's a new one. That's kind of interesting. Says, what are you stocking in your outdoor pond? So right now, nothing out there besides some danios. And I'm actually taking down all my pond systems. Oh, you mean my big ponds. So what I've got to do, I can't stock anything in them right now unless it was something out of the Geist Reservoir, because the way the whole system's set up, it was not done how I really wanted it to be done. So I got to split it into 2 different water systems. So one will actually be like a more native species, then one will be a koi species. And then probably koi and whatever else I decide to throw in there during the summertime. And then I'm going to end up making all these other outdoor pond kind of systems on this flat land that I created last summer. So I'll have a few different pond systems going. But I've got to make that stuff. The good thing about those is they stay pretty much self-sustain. Like I don't have to do a whole lot of work with those. But I'll be coming out with videos of all that here soon. Steve Duran says, do you still have the bucktooth tetras? Can you show them? So I do not. James of Fishroom Fever actually has my bucktooth tetras. He came by, he wanted them. I needed their tank. I was like, buddy, they're yours. And so he gave them a good home. And you can still see them on YouTube, which is kind of cool. I like, at least I don't know if he still has them, but I know he had them last. They're neat. I didn't get any babies from them. I was definitely playing the musical fish thing. And they were just so hard to catch. Like, they're not a great musical fish to, not a great fish to musical fish, just because they're so fast. They're the hardest to catch. Ken Cunningham, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Kim. Says, happy Friday, apply to Pizza King fun. Well, we actually just had some pizza before I came on here. We were eating Noble Romans, but Pizza King is definitely good too. I love me some Pizza King. So I appreciate that, Kim Cunningham. Thank you. And always great to see you, as always. Shelly Works, thank you so much for becoming a member, Shelly. Thank you. It is awesome of you. I appreciate your support. You guys are awesome. Nate Hill says, "What's the largest live tank you have done?" So I had about a, what was it? I think it was about 300-gallon aquarium going on in the garage just like maybe a few months ago. But then the bottom panel of it popped on me. So now they're in 275s. But it had a ton of live bears in it. It was really cool. And it's all the live bears that I had out in my outdoor pond. So I had this huge, like wishbone. I think they're like 180 gallons or something like that. The wishbone ponds. Kind of like look like a dog bone. But I had all kinds of guppies out there. And I ended up putting them into that tank, and then that tank busted. So now I'm out that wishbone pond and that big tank. But so now it's 75 gallon. Poop is piling up in Eco Complete. Do you ever vacuum? So I don't vacuum, Garrett. What I will do, well, I siphon. I don't really vacuum. So if it does pile up and say it's getting thick, because this substrate actually in here, it's been in here for years. It's like Eco Complete mixed with a little bit of rock, some sand in there, all kinds of other stuff. And it actually gets pretty hard from the mineralization of our hard water. And I do break it up now and then, just kind of aerate it a little bit. And there's worms in there that help, the black worms. They help. But what I'll do is I'll kind of like stir up the substrate with my finger, kind of like just move the surface around. And as I do that, I've got my hose siphoning, so it doesn't really get all over the place, and it just siphons right into my hose. So just work it with my fingers real good, and let the magic work. That's how I do it, instead of vacuuming it. Mine wandered a little bit there. Okay, Eduardo Montez. Did I say that last name right? I hope so. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. It says, never had snails taken over by them. Do they carry parasites, worm-like things, stick to glass, need to worry? No, I wouldn't worry about snails. Snails are a great part of the ecosystem. Now, as far as they can carry parasites or not, I mean, I'm not a doctor or a scientist or anything. I have heard stories, but I don't know how much I believe about them actually carrying parasites. I could imagine something could maybe stick to them, but I never had any real worry for them. I would not freak out. And the best thing with aquariums too is to not freak out, because when you do start applying more of the human error into it, that's when bad things do start coming. So let nature take its course. You'll see things, and even if you do like see certain worms, most all worms aren't bad. It's usually the ones that are inside your fish that are bad, like planaria, and then you've got your detritus worms, your black worms. They're all good worms that can be fish food. So just don't worry. And if they are overrunning, a big thing with snails as well is they will get to this, like if they're new to a tank, they'll get to this population bloom to where it just gets crazy. It gets out of control, and it can be unsightly for some. But what will happen eventually is they'll run out of food, they'll figure it out, and then the population will actually stabilize itself. Then you'll have more of that natural look. Like this tank has went through it, but now you don't see any snails hardly. The tanks behind me, they've all went through that phase at some point. But once you get through that phase, it's not so bad. So hopefully that helps ease your worries there. And yeah, just keep us updated. We'll help you out if you do have any issues with anything. But I definitely would not worry. Danikin Aquatics, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Always great to see you in here, Danikin. It says, this is Danny, just showing the love. Danny, well, thank you so much. Great to see you in here, Danny. Usually I feel like I'm talking to Ken, but Glad I'm talking to Danny, the other part of Danikin, which I absolutely love that name. And the fact that it's a combo of both your names, even better. And are you guys still streaming after me, I think? So if you guys haven't got enough fish talk from me blabbing on, you can always go check out Danikin Aquatics after my live stream. So I've got a humongous fish room too. He keeps more cichlids as well, so if you do got those cichlid questions, they'd probably be more mindful about it than I would. That's probably my weakest part of this whole hobby as far as like any genre or types of fish or anything. Like the smaller cichlids and discus angels, stuff like that. Yeah, I mess around with those, but the other ones I haven't dove into. Just because everybody else around me, like in the Midwest, that's what everybody keeps. So I wanted to keep everything else. Michael M says, I've learned more about fish keeping from LRB and Fatherfish. So glad I stopped by Fatherfish just a few months before he closed. Found Fatherfish through this channel, by the way. Well, that is awesome, Michael. And glad to hear that you support Fatherfish. And I'm kicking myself for not getting down there in time. And I should have took a road trip to get some of those tanks, my God. Anyway, hopefully I still get to go down there here sometime. That's a whole can of worms, though. The whole traveling bit. Well, you know what? At this point, it's just about time to do it. Carla Mollenkamp says, anyone know what time it is? It's LRB time, baby. Is that the answer you're looking for? Oh, I didn't know you had Indiana roots, Kim. That's cool. Do you ever go eat at WB Pizza? Is that Wabash Pizza? Do you really know what that is? Wow. Carol Cox says, I am trying to identify something that is growing on driftwood in my 55. It looks like pilomoss. It is growing like grass, but in a horizontal fashion. No idea how it got there. If it's curvy, it could be flame moss, but pilomoss is possible for it to grow more horizontal. If it's really stretching for the light, or possibly, Java fern or Java moss. Fancy Telequatic says, feed less and snails will die down. Yes, feeding less will definitely help die down some snails as well. And that's another reason why snails are great to have in your ecosystem. As far as like your feeding, if you're worried about if you're feeding too much or anything like that, if you got snails, you don't ever have to worry about too much if you're feeding too much. Now, you'll see it. If you got food left over and the snails can't even eat it, then obviously you will be feeding too much. But if you do just once in a while, say the fish aren't as hungry as they normally are, you do have some sort of cleanup crew to help out with your aquarium and making sure you're not getting bad food. Bad food causes more problems within fish and their immunity than all sorts of other things and parasites, in my opinion. Gary Howes, thank you so much for the support and the $5 super chat. Much, much, much appreciated and useful. Especially now that I'm going to be getting this water change system rocking and rolling. And thank you. Says, how's it going? It is going well. It's hard to complain. Staying busy. Never bored, that's for sure. But I hope you're doing well, Gary. And thank you, and always great to see you as well, brother. I might have to switch arms here. Other than betta, which hardy fish for a 6-gallon tank? Question open to everyone in chat. 6-gallon tank. A killifish. You could probably do danios. But always bigger tank the better. A reason why I don't really recommend small tanks, which it all depends on your space and or shrimp. which you're just looking for fish. But with the bigger volume of water, it's always much easier to keep than a smaller volume of water, because there's less room for error in a bigger volume of water than less. Science Gals Fishing, should I anchor my guppy grass in my substrate? It's looking a bit pale and sending out some long white roots. What's your growing tips? Well, if it's sending out long white roots, then it is stretching and growing, which is good. You can anchor it into the substrate, but I don't know if you want to at that point. Guppy grass, the best thing to do is try not to overlight it. Sometimes if you overlight it, then it can want to grow so fast that it outgrows itself, in a sense that it'll just like kind of kill itself or eat itself away, because it just doesn't have enough fertilization or whatever within that water to grow to its potential. And or if you did water changes recently, some water companies are dumping algicides and whatnot within their water system, so that could be a possibility as well. But try feeding it some ferts. That'll definitely help green it, make it more green. We gotta feed our plants. It's important to feed your plants just like you feed your fish. And always, if you got a question, the best thing to do is to put a question mark behind it, or I'll have trouble seeing it. You can hear Wesley. That's funny. Yeah, he's playing Xbox, something on Xbox. Maurice La Montage says, my shrimp have white fungus. What can help this? White fungus. So what you may be seeing, if it's like on the head, like in between the rostrum or whatever, which is like their nose area, it's vorticella. It kind of looks like white fungus. And the same thing that you kill planaria with, you can kill that vorticella with. And that's Pancure Seed Dog Dewormer, which you use 0.1 gram per 10 gallon. And then you wait 72 hours and do a water change. And then repeat that. I would repeat that probably like 3 times for vorticella, or until it's gone. But you can get rid of it. Pancure Seed Dog Dewormer. Arowana fish tank 2 feet. That's pretty tiny. Hate to tell you, that's kind of tiny. Good for growing out, I guess, if it's not a big arowana. Have you ever heard of silvertip males being extremely aggressive? I could imagine it. I've got a silvertip tetra missing an eyeball in my 75 gallons, so I mean, I won't put it past him. I don't know how he's missing an eyeball, but somebody took it. So possibly, because they were constantly colony breeding in there. How do you feed plants? Asked Ruby R. So what I actually do, let me flip this over. So I get these select salts. You can get, like I use potassium nitrate, potassium sulfate, mono potassium phosphate. That's kind of like your regular fertilizers. 8 iron CSM plus B. So you have micro and macros, which I make my own solutions. Now I have a whole video on how I make this stuff. So the best thing to do is research LRB Aquatics, feeding plants. And that'll tell you everything that I do as far as feeding my plants. Granted, my plants aren't that great right now because I wasn't feeding them. Because with the whole shutdown, see, I used to do swaps and shows and all kinds of things, and like I could keep up with the plants a little bit through those, but man, without those, like seriously, these plants have grown crazy. Like my whole fish room is a jungle. So I've had to quit feeding some of them because it's just getting a little crazy, and then with the algae. But then some, if I don't feed them, they don't like it at all. Like Taiwan lily, they really like to be fed. Pearlweed likes to be fed. Your stem plants definitely love to be fed. Let's see, Guppy Grass. I've got harder water. Moss really doesn't care. Doesn't seem to care one way or another. Algae definitely doesn't care. Crips don't care. I don't think Hornwort cares. Hydro Coddle definitely cares about food. But any plant will definitely benefit from any food that you feed them. What plant fertilizers do you suggest that'd be safe also for neo shrimp and snails? The ones that I use that in all my snail tanks as well. Which is just pretty much a, what do they call that? Estimative index, EI dosing is pretty much what I do. Like a EI dosing, where I just kind of estimate what I'm putting in there. As long as I'm putting some kind of like food in there for the plants, as long as it's not an excessive amount, then I'm usually good from algae. So a little bit here, a little bit of there. They always got something to nibble on. It works well. Man, that is good. It's like this blackberry soda stuff. Yum, yum. I went to the hardware store the other day and got like 30 bottles of craft pops. I'm trying to not drink Coca-Cola anymore, which I haven't really drank much at all. Peplin Creek Aquatics. Sorry I missed that earlier. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Really appreciate that, Peplin Aquatics. Seeing you being in here. Always great to see you, brother. Thank you, thank you. Sorry it took that long to get to. What's this question? It kind of piggybacked off of something else. I'm trying to find. Bacchus. That's funny. One of the gamer people are in here. Kevin Collis, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that, Kevin Collis. Thank you, thank you. Says, shout out to the eyeless silver tip tetra. Yes, showing the eyeless silver tip tetra some love. You're a very kind soul there, Kevin. Thank you so much for the super chat. And the silver tip will appreciate it. I'll feed him mucho granules here after this, because he just paid his rent. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And yes, Friday does equal pizza night there, Lady LRB. Oh, and if you guys want to know a dirty little secret, I have been playing a video game. That's why I commented on that Bacchus person. He was calling me by my gamer name. And we're actually, I gotta brag about this a little bit. We're poised to win this whole league thing in the game, which I'm kind of excited about. Got a pretty awesome team. So shout out to XDD and 404. Whoop whoop. State 425. Alright, anyways, back to aquarium stuff. Where I never did find that question. And I am way, way off base. Why does no one put a inline carbon filter on their Python gravel vac? Sounds like an awesome idea, but I've never seen anyone do it. That's quite interesting. Maybe create like a cartridge interchangeable hose attachment. There you go. You got a whole business and product. Now, execution is the key with those ideas. You can have all the ideas in the world, but if you don't have the execution, then it's nothing. That is a good idea. Natural Aquarium says, I use carbon filter made for an RV that I hook up to a garden hose to fill my tanks. I still use safe though as well. Caleb Weiss, thank you so much for being a long-time subscriber. Jennifer Brennan says, do you know why my buried shrimp will die? I have also had some bury, then the eggs never develop. So it depends on how old that shrimp is as well. So I don't know where you're getting your shrimp, but I do know a lot of imported shrimp, the big ones, big chunky ones, they'll send out, and they're usually on their last leg. So sometimes it can be an age thing. And then sometimes it can be a molten problem. So if your water's not hard enough or soft enough, depending on what type of shrimp it is, could be the reason why it may be dying as a buried shrimp, because whenever it does go to shed that molt, it can have issues. Which sometimes they'll even shed the eggs off too. So sometimes if they do molt and then molt without the eggs, and if they are new as well, they may bury up, then drop their eggs, which will make them look like they're losing their eggs. But yeah, usually old age when it comes to them dying like that. Brandon, hey Lucas, any chance you're coming to the Louisville Fish Club Spring Swap on Sunday? I did not even know about it, so probably definitely not. I wish I could though, because that sounds great. I always love me a good old fish swap. But glad to hear that, and if you guys are around the Louisville area, sounds like they've got a fish swap going on, so just check out the Louisville Fish Club. I'm sure you throw that in Google. Google will give you something. Or DuckDuckGo, whatever you guys use. Stephen True Seeker says, can you do another video on how you introduce... Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that word. Anyway, sorry. Can you do another video on how you introduce new fish into your tanks? I can. I think I did one recently as far as my uploaded set, but it was probably like months ago. See, that's my biggest thing. A lot of these videos I could probably remake and whatnot. I don't like to repeat myself that much, but I mean I would for you guys, just because I do know what's in front of your face. It's just how we are as a society now. Like, it's got to be in front of our faces to really hit it, grab our attention, this, that, and the other. But yeah, definitely, anytime I get new fishes, I always try to put that in there too, and talk about how I do bring in the new fish and what I do with them by giving them fish baths and stuff. Because it helps tremendously, absolutely tremendously, giving them those fish baths. So pretty much you don't want to add any of the water whatsoever that comes in with your fish. And you want to bathe them. You want to get anything off of them. So there's like no bio element of anything from where your fish came from. Now I got a carbon block on my water so I can do it with my tap water. But if you don't have tap water with a carbon block, then you can use your aquarium water. Can we use cinnamon canes for shrimp? I hear you can. I remember a long time ago people used to use cinnamon for shrimp tanks and they liked it for some reason. Could be wrong though. I don't know. Double check that, because I would hate it to be the latter, to where they're like, oh no, don't use cinnamon canes. So don't take me 100% on that. I don't know. Anybody in the chat ever tried cinnamon canes in their shrimp tanks? Pretty sure I've seen it before. Finn Wiggles! Always great to see you in here, Finn Wiggles. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat and the support. That is awesome of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Finn. Always like saying your name too. Dwarf Gouramis for a 6-gallon. Yeah, sparkling dwarf Gouramis. That's a great idea. For the guy asking about 6 gallons. Definitely those pygmy sparkling dwarf Gouramis. Do like a black water setup. And if you put it in a clay pot where it's laid on its side, they'll actually lay a bubble nest up there. And if you keep it acidic enough, you can get them to breed, which is really cool. Yeah, it is. Coca-Cola's gut rot. Oh, that's a big reason why I stopped drinking it, was just my gut biome and stuff. It just was not good for it. And I could feel that was taking a toll on my insides, so they were talking to me, I was listening, and I changed it. Jackson Simpson says, when will you have more Japanese neon blue Endler in stock? I would give it maybe 2 months. Maybe 2 months. I have plenty breeding out right now, or growing out. Okay. I see you, Kim Cunningham. Once he's not far. Scrolling for questions. Let's see. Ultramagnetic says, does EcoComplete hold more beneficial bacteria than sand? Yes, definitely. It does have a higher capacity to hold things within it because it's just crushed down lava rock, so it is porous, unlike sand. And sand stays pretty tight, like real tight. Pebbles and cobblestone actually hold a lot of beneficial bacteria, more or less in between the crevices. But with the EcoComplete, it actually holds it within the rock. But the only problem with the EcoComplete is if you got cory cats. I do not recommend cory cats in EcoComplete, or anything that is like a bottom dwelling fish. They don't do as well with the EcoComplete because it can be sharp on their barbels and stomachs and stuff. So that's why I do like. And then sand. Sand's like my all-time favorite to grow plants in. Just something about it. It gets a real good symbiotic relationship with the roots and the funguses and whatnot. Whoa. I don't know if this thing's still on or not. Okay, we are still on. Jay Oliver's Guppies and Aquatics, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, keep up the great work, LRB. Anyone around the Dallas area, I'll be at the DFW Aquarium Association Expo tomorrow at 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So, tomorrow, Saturday, Dallas. Check it out, the DFW Aquarium Association Expo. So if you guys are looking for fish in the Texas area, that is the place to go. So thank you, Jay Olivers, for dropping that for everybody, for throwing the support to do so. Thank you so much, Jay Olivers, Guppies and Aquatics. And if you are there, show the guys some support for giving them a shout out. Texas Fish Room says, I'm ready for the DFW Expo. Well, that's awesome. Texas got some nice fish down there too. A lot of hobbyists too. You guys really came out for that aquashella down there. It was absolutely amazing. Caleb Weiss, I hope I said that right. Weiss, thank you so much for the $3 super chat. I appreciate you, Caleb. Thank you. And Rescinds Aquatics, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, what makes you gone on this fish hobby? What makes you gone on this fish hobby? So what really triggered me for this fish hobby was the plants. Once I realized you could put plants into aquariums, like growing up, I always had aquariums. Like I was catching crayfish, snakes, minnows, whatever, throwing it in aquariums. My dad had Oscars, whatnot. I had a little community tank when I was in high school, but it wasn't until after I was in college, I was like, man, I always had a fish tank, and I kind of wanted to get into it again, so I bought this 30-gallon, and I got a few community fish. I thought I'd be real clever, make this like double-tiered kind of tank, so where it was a 30-gallon high, half of it had this tier. I was thinking, oh, it'd be cool to see the fish like swim up underneath the tier and then up above it. But of course, they never swam underneath it. So I got this huge dead spot. The fish are never swimming. They're always swimming up and above. I'm like, okay, well, that didn't work too well. I go back to the fish store, just kind of thinking about what I'm going to do. And I always like looked at the fish, but off in this little corner, they had all these little plants and stuff. I was like it never caught my eye. I started thinking, oh wow, you could really put plants in here. Like, what is this all about? And so I grabbed a couple. I stuck them in the tank. They started growing a little bit here and there. And of course, I love to research things. So, I mean, I grew up with computers. My stepmom's a computer programmer. Like, I've been a gamer forever. I've beaten thousands of titles. Like, I grew up to this stuff. I went to school for graphic design. I was actually going to get into making video games and whatnot. But anyways, I started researching, got onto the forums. So you had like Aquatic Plant Central, you had plantedtank.net, Monster Fish Keepers, all great for like learning the knowledge back in the day for how to keep aquarium plants and where to get like a rare aquarium plants. That's when shrimp first started coming out and everything. It was really neat. But those plants started leading me to the shrimp as well. But once I figured out you could create your own ecosystems, it was game over. I was like, I want a bunch of these aquariums. I want to do all kinds of cool stuff. And then the shrimp just kept adding on to the hobby. Then I started getting into killifish more. The very first fish I bred was a Golden Wonder killifish. Really got me into it real hard. So there was definitely multiple factions that just kept, or factors that just kept increasing my want and love for the hobby. Let's see. Mark says, which plants do you add to your outside tubs? So I really like the crypts. I like the vallisnerias. Stem plants are always pretty good. Dwarf sage is good. For some reason, I always struggle with guppy grass. I think it's too much light for them. Pearlweed, same story. Sometimes my best ones are just leaf littered, whatever's fallen into the tubs as well. Like not even any plants. PRJ since 1990 says, hey LRB, my KH is low in my 55-gallon with plants, rainbows, loaches, cories, and shrimp. Eco complete with CO2 injection. Should I raise it in house? So GH is around 10 and KH is like 3. So you're about 130 there. You can add some, so what's going on is that CO2 is acidic, it's acidifying your water, and that's what's breaking down your mineralization. This is also another reason why they recommend CO2 for planted aquariums, because it does soften that water with the acidity of the CO2. That helps break down all that mineralization. But you can add salts, you can use crushed coral to have more of a slow release. And now it does get a little more tricky. So like your rainbows, loaches, and cories, and depending on your shrimp, and especially with shrimp and cories and loaches and rainbows, good luck to your shrimp. Godspeed. But as those minerals are broken down and acidified, the shrimp and fish can actually uptake them as well. So there is a tricky in between all of that. That at 130 is not so bad, but you definitely want to make sure that you're adding mineralization into it, that it doesn't drop too low. Finn Wiggles, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It says, happy birthday, Luke. It's not my birthday, but it is my unbirthday for sure. Says, we love fish and shrimp. Well, we do love fish and shrimp. And Finn Wiggles, thank you for the happy birthday wishes, although it is not my birthday. But I do love that. That's funny. There's this guy on our game. We always, every day, will tell him happy birthday. It's like, it's not my birthday. But thank you, thank you, thank you. My birthday is actually in the summertime, which isn't far. I'm getting up there in the numbers. Oh, we are way over the, well, I want to say way over, but we are over the hour mark. And unfortunately, you guys know what that means. I gotta get to feeding these fish. I can get my arm a rest from scrolling. LRB Aquatics, not you. Read up a few. Oh, okay. A 9-year-old named Luke. Well, 9-year-old named Luke. Okay. Let me see if I can find him here. And Luke, happy birthday, brother. I mean, Lucas, Luke. That's what I thought. We kind of share the same name there, buddy. But happy birthday. And, Alright. So I'm going to hop off here. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Thank you so much for the support, you guys. And I'm going to try my best. Try my best to get a video for you guys Sunday. Try my best. So hopefully you guys will see one on Sunday. But until next time, everybody, peace. Have a great one. And thank you. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Stay awesome. Do 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 do.